Good morning. Good morning. My name is Jerry, and welcome to Bread and Breath Devotional, a daily moment to slow down, breathe, and hear what God might be saying today. Let's feed our spirit before the world feeds us the stress. Family, today we are in the book of 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 11 to 21. Today's Daily Bread is titled, Called to Live Different. Called to live different. 1 Peter chapter 2, verses 11 through 21. And this passage reminds us that being a follower of Christ is not just about what we believe, it's about how we live. Especially in a world that doesn't always align with God. Peter begins in verse 11 by saying, Dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. He calls believers strangers and pilgrims. That means this world is not our home. We may live here, work here, and move through life here, but we are not supposed to be shaped by everything around us. And because of that, Peter gives a warning. Abstain from fleshly lust. Not manage them, not entertain them, not get close to them. Abstain. Why? Because they war against your soul. This is deeper than behavior. This is spiritual warfare. Sin is not just something you do. It's something that fights against who God is calling you to be. It pulls on your desires, your thoughts, your habits, and your identity. That's why the fight feels intense sometimes. That's why it doesn't just go away easily. Because it's a war. Then Peter says in verse 12, having your conversation honest among the Gentiles. In other words, live in a way that is honorable even among people who don't believe. Your life should speak. Your character should reflect God. Even when people don't agree with your faith, they should see something different about how you carry yourself. And sometimes people may still speak against you. They may misunderstand you, judge you, or assume the worst. But Peter says that your consistent, godly life can still point them back to God. Then in verses 13 through 17, Peter talks about submitting to authority, even when it's not perfect. That can be hard to hear. Nobody likes being told to submit, especially when leadership is flawed or situations feel unfair. But Peter is showing us something deeper. Your obedience to God is not based on how perfect people are. It's based on your commitment to Him. He says in verse 15, For so is the will of God, that with well-doing ye may be put to silence the ignorance of foolish men. Sometimes the best response is not arguing. Sometimes it's not defending yourself. Sometimes it's living right consistently. Your life can silence what your words cannot. Then Peter brings it even closer in verses 18 to 20, talking about enduring hardship, even when it's unfair. He says if you suffer for doing wrong, that's one thing. But if you suffer for doing right and endure it, that is acceptable with God. That's difficult because everything in us wants fairness. If I'm doing right, I should be treated right. If I'm living right, then things should go smoothly. But the reality is, sometimes doing the right thing still comes with resistance, misunderstanding, or hardship. And in those moments, your response matters. Will you still honor God? Will you still walk in integrity? Will you still choose righteousness? Then verse 21 brings it all together. For even hereunto were ye called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps. This is the part we don't always want to hear. We are called to follow Christ, and part of his example includes suffering. Jesus did everything right. He lived perfectly. He loved completely. He obeyed fully. And yet, he was rejected, misunderstood, and crucified. That means your hardship is not always a sign that something is wrong. Sometimes it's a sign that you're walking the same path Christ walked. Now, this doesn't mean we look for suffering or accept abuse without wisdom. But it does mean we don't abandon our faith just because life gets hard or people treat us unfairly. This passage calls us higher, to live differently, to think differently, to respond differently, to abstain from what wars against our soul, to live with integrity in a watching world, to submit with the right heart, to endure hardship with faith, to follow the example of Christ. So if you feel like you're in a battle right now, internally or externally, remember this: you are not just surviving, you are being shaped. You are not just going through, you are being called higher. God is forming something in you that looks like Christ. So stay set apart, stay disciplined, stay faithful, even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's unfair or it feels unfair. Because you were not called to blend in. You were called to live different. Bread and breath. If this blessed you, please like, share, subscribe, and share this with one person who needs peace today. Be blessed, family.